Welcome to another build showcase, Exiles, and in my last video I did an update on my Code Monk. I'm still playing the Code Monk with Charge Staff, Elemental Expression, Flicker Strike. Everything is still the same. I'm currently on tier 9 of mapping, so I have been grinding but not all that much, which brings me to this particular video. So I decided to pick up the Witch. I wanted to try out new classes because I have been playing only Monk, exclusively Monk. So I wanted a feel of how different classes feel, and so I decided to pick up the Witch. So I am playing Infernalist Witch, and man, it's a complete different playstyle from the Monk. It just feels so different and it's so safe because the Witch just stays in the back whilst the minions does all the work, right? Whilst the Monk is always at the forefront dishing out damage. So it's like completely 360 degrees build, bro. Like, it's crazy how diverse this game can be when it comes to like build variety, bro. Like, it's so good and it's so fun. Okay, so I am playing the Infernalist Witch. Like I said, I am playing Raise Zombie because I haven't seen any Witch players play Zombie. So I thought to myself, let me play Power Charge Zombies, and man, I think it's kind of underrated. So Raise Zombie is going to be using Power Charges to cast the more stronger buff zombies. And we're also playing Cast on Minion Death, Detonate Dead, because we always have zombies available as long as they're mobs or we have Power Charges. We always have Detonate Dead ready to go if there are corpses around as well. Sometimes I also switch it up with Cast on Minion Death, Firestorm, to switch things up a bit, especially for boss fights. So the way this build works is the use of Sniper's Mark and Resonance on the passive skill tree. So Sniper's Mark is a mark that gives you frenzy charges whenever you apply the mark and deal a critical hit. But if we get Resonance on the passive skill tree, we instead get power charges instead of frenzy charges. So place a mark, have a crit hit with a minion, gain a power charge, raise a power charge zombie, a buffed up zombie. The zombies loses health, blows up or dies, and that casts the Detonate Dead. That's the idea behind this build. Okay, keep in mind I am only in Act 3 of the first playthrough. It's not an end game build yet, but at this point I've already unlocked everything I need to make the build work. So I won't change anything in this build by the time I reach end game. Everything will still be the same. So this will still work even if you're like level 80 or doing maps. Okay, so now let's get into the build, starting with the skills. Alright, so first we have Summon Inferno Hound, which is the minion we get from the Infernalist Ascendancy. This tanks some damage for you, about 20% before you start taking damage. It also ignites enemies for you, which is a massive dab, especially for a fire focused build. So we have Freedom Frenzy support gem for this, allowing it to deal 30% more damage but takes 20 more damage as well. We have Fire Exposure, which applies fire exposure on igniting enemies for 8 seconds, so just more damage. Then we also have Mid Shield, giving it more life, however at the sacrifice of dealing less damage. But of course we have Feeding Frenzy to make up for this lost damage. Also have Volatile Dead, which is a skill you get from your wand. I don't actually use this, so ignore this. Then I have Purity of Ice, which is a skill we also get from the Scepter. This gives your minions 30% it gives the minions 30% cold resistance. So it's an aura, it's always active. Pretty nice. It's good to have some resistances for your minions. Moving down, we have Raise Zombie, of course, which consumes a corpse to raise a zombie, or if you have power charges, consumes a power charge to raise a more tougher zombie. I'll talk about this later. You can have 10 zombies at a time. So I'm running minion instability support on this. This basically makes your minions explode when they go below 30% health, which is very strong. I have persistence to make my zombies last longer. Then I also have Inferno Legion, which sets the zombies on fire. Like, every zombie you raise will automatically be on fire, meaning it will lose health, it eventually go below 30%, and then it will explode. Like, this is like the glue that makes this build works in terms of Detonate Dead, right? Cast on Minion Death. So we're raising our zombies and then killing them for the Detonate Dead to go off. That's the idea behind this build. Now, of course, for bosses we'll switch this out, because sometimes when you fight a boss it won't have minions around, so you want your zombies to actually be more active and not lose health. So for that I usually remove my Inferno Legion support gem out of the Raise Zombie to keep my zombies fighting for longer. I'm also running Skeletol Snipers. I have about 4 of them right now. I have Scattershot support gem on this, which lets them fire 2 more additional projectiles. I also have Emulate support gem, which is kind of an experiment. It deals more damage against ignited enemies. However, the arrows can't ignite if they catch on fire. And then I'm also running Corrosion, which allows poison skills to also break armor. The Skeletol Snipers have an inbuilt skill that shoots out a gas arrow, right? So adding Corrosion to this means you can actually break armor, which is very strong. Yes, you can run Skeletal Arsonists if you want, but I prefer the Skeletol Snipers because of this particular skill, and breaking armor is just a nice addition to this. Moving on to Sniper's Mark, as I touched upon earlier, very important for this particular build because this is what allows us to gain those power charges for those buffed up zombies. So it places a mark on the enemy, then if you crit, it gives you a frenzy charge. So I'm running Profusion support on this, which gives us a chance to gain an additional power charge. I have Ingenuity to reduce the cooldown between placing the marks a bit, and I also have Overabundance, allowing us to place 2 marks at a time, like against 2 different multiple enemies, or like use it twice, like 1, 2, because you can only place 1 mark at a time. So now for this to work, again, you have to grab the resonance node on the passive skill tree. That will grant you power charges instead of frenzy charges. Now I'll try to work around with combat frenzy, which is a spirit gem that gives you frenzy charges when you either freeze, shock, or pin an enemy. So I might try to implement pin in this build to get more power charges easier. I'll update you guys on that later, but for now, Sniper's Mark will be the way to go for this build. We are also running Raging Spirits, which is a spirit buff that summons Flaming Skulls or Raging Spirits whenever you throw out a fire skill. So I have Flameo, for example. I throw out Flameo to summon 5 skulls, so 5 skulls every time when you summon a fire skill. Now these skulls are also considered as minions, and you're going to be relying on these minions when you don't have snipers on the screen. Your snipers are dead, or you don't have zombies as well. Because there are minions, they can also deal crit hits. Remember, you're building crit, minion crit as well on this build. So if you don't have snipers on the screen, you don't have zombies, and you want to get some zombies, place your Sniper's Mark on the enemy, throw out Flameo, summon those Flaming Skull Spirits, and they're bound to get a critical hit and give you power charge for those raise zombie summons. I have Fire Infusion support gem, which is kind of like an experiment. It was originally on my snipers, but I just switched it here. Seems to work though, seems okay. I also have fire penetration, which penetrates enemies' fire resistance, which is pretty good. I also have Minion Mastery, which gives us +1 to all minion skills. Moving on to our cast on minion death, we have Detonate Dead socketed in this meta gem. We also have Impetus support gem, which gives the gem 40% increased more energy, as well as Spell Echo to make the Detonate Dead happen twice. Now this is perhaps the most fun part about the build. Remember, we are raising zombies, guys, so we always have minions to spare. Like, these zombies are catching on fire, we raise them, they're reducing their health, and they're dying on their own, meaning we always have the Detonate Dead available to go as long as there are corpses on the ground and we have zombies available. Now sometimes you won't always have power charges, so it's just good to use regular zombies from corpses on the ground. You only want to have a maximum of 2 raised zombies from the ground, because 1 zombie gives you about 70% energy for your cast on minion death, so 2 is more than enough, and you don't want to use all the corpses on the ground because Detonate Dead want to go off if there are no corpses on the ground. If you have a bunch of power charges, just summon the hell out of those zombies, and the corpses are going to be going insane. Explosions everywhere. Remember, the zombies are summoning are also losing health, and they're exploding when they die. So you have explosions from your zombies, and you have explosions from the corpses on the ground. The Spell Echo, that's like double explosions. It's so good, especially against a bunch of crowded enemies, which will be perfect for end game clears. Of course, I have Flameo as discussed earlier. We need a fire spell to cast those Raging Spirits, and Flameo is perfect in my opinion because When projectiles go through Flammable, they catch fire. So of course we have our Skeletol Snipers shooting arrows all the time. If it passes through the Flammable, they catch fire. So I have Fortress to cast the Flammable in a circle. Then I have Spell Cascade to cast 2 more additional Flammables on the sides, which is very good. Then Fire Mastery to add +1 to fire skills as well. Works very good in this build. Just fits like a glove, bro. Firewall, Raging Spirits. Your archers are sniping all the way, catching arrows, catching fire as well. Mwah, it's just bellissimo. Very fun. Of course, I'm running Grimm Feast as well, which gives us a chance to double our energy shield by picking up remnants that you get from killing enemies. A chance to pick up remnants which give you additional energy shield. As you can see, I don't even have energy shield. Like, bro, I haven't died. I've died like 3 times maximum so far. Compared to my monk, bro, I was dying so much with my monk. But with this build, I haven't even. It's such a safe, comfy build, bro. I have 9 energy shield. 9. That's mad, right? Moving on, we have Flammability as well, which reduces enemy fire resistance. I plan to run this. I think there's a meta gem that lets you stack up a bunch of spells in an aura. I think I'll run that, but for now, I'm casting Flammability on its own to reduce fire resistance against enemies. There are so many enemies with high fire resistance in this game, especially bosses, which can be very annoying. So Flammability is very good to reduce that fire resistance. I have Burning Inscription support, which leaves burning ground after the spell expires, which is pretty nice as well. And lastly, we are running Pain Offering, which sacrifices one of your minions, your zombie minions, or your reviving minions to boost the other minions on your field, allowing them to deal more damage. Aberration support gem on this, I think it's called, which basically lets us deal more damage at the cost of some health. Then I also have Font of Rage, which leaves rage on the sacrifice, allowing you to deal more damage if you're standing near it. This is going to be our boss killer, bro. Have a bunch of zombies on the field and then pop Pain Offering. Just watch your zombies go crazy and destroy everything. It is so strong. And this is when I saw that zombies are very underrated in this game. Like, they hit so freaking hard, especially with Pain Offering. Okay, moving on to the passive skill tree nodes. This build is focused mainly on minion damage as well as crit. You want as much crit as possible to get those power charges. So focus mainly on nodes that give minion damage, minion resistance. You can pause and see which nodes I picked up right here. And you also want to prioritize resonance. Again, resonance, which gives you power charges instead of frenzy charges for Sniper's Mark to work. You want those power charges to summon zombies even against bosses. As you can see, I went up here, got the bunch of crit nodes, which allows us to, which gives our minion crit as well. You have crit for yourself, crit rate for yourself, or crit chance for yourself, as well as crit chance for zombies, which is very annoying, but you rely mostly on zombies, or you sit back, placing marks, placing curses, and all that jazz. So most of the damage will come from the minions and the zombies. Ascendancy points, I did grab the summon Inferno Hound, like I said earlier, but I haven't grabbed any other big node with my other 2 ascendancy points. I just don't think they're good, but you might have to run the node that gives us 30% critical damage bonus at the cost of 15% health and energy shield whenever you crit. Now, my energy shield is low, as you can see, my life is low. I don't have that much fire resistance, so I haven't picked up that node just yet, but I think it will be perfect for this build. Moving on to gear, I'm running a unique amulet that gives my minions a bunch of crit rate, crit chance, and crit damage, just to hit that high crit for my possible power charges from the Sniper's Mark. My scepter also has some crit as well, which is pretty nice. Again, pause and rewind on the gear to see what I have. But this is just like a quick build, guys. Like, I haven't even spent any time on the trade market. This is just equipment I've been getting and crafting, so my stats are really bad. Don't pay much attention to my gear. Like I said, it's a very early build. I will perfect this when I start buying stuff, buying equipment, and improving my stats and all. But like for now, the build is still cooking, even just with these bad stats. So again, that's basically how the build works. It's a very crit focused build. You want as much crit as possible because of Sniper's Mark. You want to gain as many power charges as possible, especially against a boss, so you always have a raised zombie available even if there aren't any mobs around or any like minions. So that's basically how the build works, guys. It's so early, like I said. I will update you guys when I reach the maps next. So maybe when I reach Cruel Act 3, I'll give you guys an update on the damage and the improvement changes I've made as usual, so keep that in mind. So I will leave you guys with a showcase, just some random mob clears, as well as 2 really fun boss fights I had. Like, this build is nice. So one thing I don't like about it is the visual clutter. Like, everything is just on fire. It's difficult to see what's going on sometimes, which can get you killed, which is very, very annoying compared to the monk, bro. Like, it's just so different, but it's really, really fun. And one thing I forgot to note, against bosses, you want to switch out that Detonate dead for Firestorm, and your Firestorm will continuously proc almost all the time because the minions or your zombies keep on dying continuously, so you keep on casting Firestorm one after the other. Like, it's very, very strong. So anyway, guys, thank you so much. Enjoy the showcase, and I'll keep you updated on the improvements on the build. GG.
This fellow has been here far too long.
Even a corpse. Euphoria. You will not be even a corpse.
Rise!
Witness. Touch of Cold Euphoria. That frees the mind. It radiates. Now you will see. Touch of Cold. Witness! Fire that frees the mind. Opec, bless me, God! It radiates. Copex will!
Sure, Copex will love to see. What a disgusting pig of a woman.